session of the Revolution Festival 2020, which has been an extraordinary event, extraordinary in the sense that it is online this year, of course, and not in person. But I think that has not detracted from all the things that the comrades have been able to learn, and all the notes that you've been able to take, and things that we've been able to take away from this weekend. It has been, as ever, an intense weekend. Lots of discussions, lots of things to think about, but hopefully very enjoyable for everybody as well. We sold over 600 tickets to the event over the run up to the event and over the course of the event itself, which makes this by far the largest event that Socialist Appeal, the British section of the IMT, has ever put on by quite some distance. So we should, all of us, be really proud of that. We obviously have all attended it, but I know most comrades also have been promoting it and so on. And we've really put down a marker, I think, for the forces of Marxism in Britain, and we should be very pleased with that. Dozens of comrades also have helped to organise. Obviously, the speakers have spoken extremely well. The comrades who have chaired the sessions have done extremely well as well. But there's all sorts of behind-the-scenes stuff that most comrades attending will not have seen, but nevertheless is essential to the running of an event like this. And I hope you'll agree it's more or less gone to plan. It's more or less gone quite smoothly. All of this taken together, I think it really shows, this event, to me at least, suggests that we are successfully building a serious Marxist force in Britain. Yes, we're not numbering millions yet, but every year that we put this event on, we're taking big steps forward, and we should be really pleased about that. And on that point, of course, if you would like to find out more about helping us to make Marxism a serious force in Britain, if you haven't already joined, I'm sure a Join Us link will be posted in the chat. But as has been mentioned in every session so far, there will be a short session, 15-20 minutes, something like that, after the end of this rally, just to answer any questions that anyone who is not currently a member of Socialist Appeal might have about what it is to be a member of Socialist Appeal. If you just stay behind in this meeting after Alan's closing remarks, and then there'll be a short video that we will screen. If you just stick around after the video, everyone else can leave, but if you just stick around, we'll just use the same meeting and we'll just have a discussion there. Also, obviously, yesterday we had this amazing collection. I'm sure many of the comrades were present for that, and that is a real step forward for building our forces. And because we're not funded by anything else, that's the kind of stuff that we need to be able to keep ourselves going. And linked to that, of course, are subscriptions to the Socialist Appeal newspaper. If you don't have one, I would urge you to get one. And likewise with the theoretical magazine, the In Defence of Marxism magazine. These are important educational tools for all Marxists or aspiring Marxists in Britain and internationally. And I would urge all the comrades to get hold of a subscription. And of course, check out Well Read Books, which is the publishing house of the International Marxist Tendency. And above all, you'll remember, although maybe it seems a while ago, but on Friday night, we launched, of course, the Chartism book, the new book from Well Read by Rob Saul. And I would particularly urge everybody to get a copy of that. And finally, there is still one more session of the festival left, which means one more session in which you can post your selfies on social media. Having a big social media impact is also part of building the forces of Marxism, of course, especially in conditions of semi-lockdown. So I would encourage all the comrades to use the hashtags RevFest2020 and World on Fire. So without any further ado, I don't think I have any other announcements to make. I would like to introduce the speaker for the final session, which is Alan Woods. Alan is, I'm sure many of you know, the editor of the In Defence of Marxism website, Marxist.com. And Alan is going to speak for about 20 minutes to close the session for us. So I will now hand over to Alan. Just unmute him. Alan, are you able to unmute yourself?
Oh, well, what's it called? No?
That's it. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Is it? It's not.
Yeah, you're all right.
Well, but that's better, but we'll get rid of that. What's that? Oh, okay. Modern technology. Okay. Well, I think that you will all agree with me that this school has been a really fantastic event. I think that all the sessions that I saw anyway were inspiring. I felt inspired at least, and the level was quite high. Although we must add that we must always fight and work to carry it to an even higher level. Now, the first session, as Ben pointed out, was to introduce Rob's book on Chartism. Now, one thing I would have to point out to you, that our organization, the International Marxist Tendency, is both very old and very young. It's a young tendency in many respects. Look at the composition of this meeting, it's clear. But you see, through the person and the work of Comrade Ted Grant, who alas is no longer with us, we can trace our history right back to the origins of the Trotsky's left opposition in the early 1930s, and even further back than that. Ideologically, we trace ourselves right back, our history right back, to the Communist Manifesto and the First International. In fact, Ted used to tell me, I never met this person, but he used to say that before the war, there was an old member of our organization who had been a member of the First, the Second, the Third, and the Fourth International. It's incredible. So yes, we can trace our history, and we are proud to trace our history right back. One of the things that strikes me about the sectarian groups that eke out a miserable existence on the fringes of the labor movement is that all of them, if you read their papers, all of them seem to think that history begins with them. We don't think that at all. History does not begin with us. And now with the publication of Rob's new book on Chartism, we can trace our history still further back. Yes, as Rob said, we can claim justifiably to be the authentic, continuous inheritors of a revolutionary tradition of the Chartists, and even before that, to the levelers and diggers of the English Revolution. No comrades, of course, history does not begin with us. The international Marxist tendency is strong precisely because we rest on the shoulders of giants. For us, unlike the academic imbeciles of postmodernism, history is not merely a series of accidents, but a meaningful process. That's the point. A meaningful process of development with its own inherent laws. And it's only by understanding those laws will it be possible to correctly analyze the present crisis of capitalism and show where it is inevitably leading to. Now, one of the subjects I was particularly interested on the agenda was academic Marxism. Academic Marxism, well, I must confess that I simply do not understand this terminology. I mean, you can be an academic or you can be a Marxist, but you cannot be an academic Marxist. It's simply a contradiction in terms. We, in fact, must conduct a continuous and implacable struggle against the kind of revisionist garbage, that's what it is, that these people try to foist on us, foist on the movement under a false flag of Marxism, where in reality they got nothing to do with Marxism. And that's a fact. You know, in point of fact, this business of academic Marxism is not a new thing. It's got a very long history. In the 19th century, in Marx's day, it was known as, in German, as Kathedersozialismus, armchair socialism, if you like. The best known representative of that particular school was a chap with the name of Eugen Dühring, whose ideas were answered by Engels in his famous book, Anti-Dühring. In Lenin's day, then again, the academic Marxists were known as legal Marxists, the legal Marxists, intellectuals and professors, who under the pretext of avoiding the attention of the Tsarist censorship, watered down Marxism. That's what they all do. They watered down Marxism, stripping it of dialectics in the first instance, stripping it, if you like, of its revolutionary soul. And of course, we must combat this by all the means at our disposal. Yes, but on the other hand, it would be a mistake, a serious mistake in my view, to go to the other extreme and to fall into the trap of a vulgar thing which of so-called workerism, which implies that it's an implicit rejection of theory and abstract thought, abstract ideas, under the pretext of allegedly speaking a language which workers can understand. Now, this is wrong. This is a deviation that's every bit as bad as the other one, the opposite one. It existed side by side in Lenin's day, side by side with legal Marxism, when it was known as economism. And it was subject to a sharp criticism in a marvelous book, which all communists should read, called What is to be Done, which I strongly recommend you to read. Yes, the idea that you can reject abstract, I've heard this, even in the school I heard some communists referring to this, that they don't like abstract theorizing. Well, you know, maybe not. But Marxism is based on abstract theory, as a matter of fact. There's a mistake, actually. I must correct something that is said by a couple of comrades in the school. They said that Marxism is the generalization of the historical experience of the working class. Well, not so. That affirmation is simply wrong. What is correct is that the party, the Revolutionary Party, is the memory of the working class. Yes, that's perfectly true. You can say that. But Marxism is far broader than that, you know. Marxism was born, let's remind ourselves, was born out of the best ideas of bourgeois theoreticians, such as not just Adam Smith and Ricardo, the economists, but also, above all, Hegel, the great bourgeois German philosopher. And then, of course, the ideas of French utopian socialists. And it was, yes, these are precisely abstract ideas. Good heavens. I'll tell you something, my friends. A person that is incapable of abstract thought would never be able to read the 3 volumes of Capital. I'll go further. They wouldn't get further than the first page of the first chapter of Capital if they were incapable of abstract thought. No. This is wrong. This is wrong. And Marx himself had nothing but contempt for so-called workerism and the rejection of theory. It brings to mind a little incident which you may not have heard of. It's not generally known, but it is interesting to show Marx's idea about this. When he was a young man, at the beginning of his revolutionary career, you may know that he first joined an organization. He didn't create it. It already existed, called the League of the Just, which was a workers' organization. It was composed of workers and led by a worker, a man by the name of Weitling, who was a utopian socialist. Marx and Engels joined the League of the Just, and their ideas proved to be very successful with the workers, something which Weitling, as the leader, didn't quite approve of. Now, there was a conversation, this incident I was referring to, there's a conversation between Weitling and Marx, which became rather heated. There was another person present called Annenkov, who was a Russian revolutionist, who recalled, whose memoirs described the incident. Now, Marx was a very patient man, as a matter of fact, very patient. He didn't often lose his temper. But on this occasion, the discussion grew very heated, especially when Annenkov started on the line, we heard all this line before, that Marx and Engels are just intellectuals that are putting forward abstract ideas which have got no reference to the working class, nothing to do with the workers, and the workers can't understand it. And Marx, I say, was a patient man, but he lost for once he lost his temper. And Annenkov recalls that Marx slammed his fist on the table. He slammed his fist on the table and shouted at Weitling the following important phrase: "Ignorance never helped anybody." Bear that phrase in mind. Ignorance never helped anybody, Marx. And that's very true. Oh, no. For us Marxists, theory, abstract theory, if you like, is not an optional extra, you know. It's not the cherry on top of the icing on the cake, or the fairy on the Christmas tree. No, it's a fundamental weapon in our arsenal, which you must master. If you can't master that, then you won't get very far as understanding Marxism is concerned. And it is absolutely necessary that we should understand that the principles of Marxist philosophy, that's what I'm talking about, for the success of the socialist revolution. It's the principal and most powerful weapon in our arsenal, as a matter of fact. Lenin pointed out, it was Lenin that pointed out, and I quote, There cannot be a revolutionary party without revolutionary theory. See, none of the other groups who purport to be Marxists in the world have understood this except for ourselves. We are proud of the fact that we are the only ones, the IMT is the only ones today that really stand for Marxist theory, that publish books about theory and so on. And let's be clear about this. Let's call a spade a shovel. Let's spell it out in very clear terms. What is the IMT? I'll tell you. The IMT is an orthodox, Marxist, Trotskyist, revolutionary organization. That's what it is, plus or minus nothing. If you don't like it, then you better look elsewhere for something to join. We will not tolerate the slightest deviation, not 1 millimeter of deviation from the basic ideas of Marxist theory, which have been proven to be correct over the period of the last 200 years. And we are conducting, and we are conducting an implacable struggle against revisionism in all its different guises. Now, the school shows that we are succeeding. We are succeeding. We're getting there. It also shows that we're full of optimism, which is a good thing. Optimism in the future. I sometimes think that we're the only optimists left in society. Look around you. It's gloom, gloom, go out of the room. Everywhere you look, the bourgeois are gloomy, full of misery, of course. They got every right to be. The reformists are, the left reformists, even more than anybody else, I think. And of course, the myriad sects. I don't know why I even bothered to mention them. They're so useless. But the myriad sects who swarm like insects around the periphery of the movement, shouting loudly, mainly shouting against ourselves, by the way, against the IMT. Let them shout. There's an Arab proverb which comes to my mind. The dogs bark, therefore the caravan is moving. That's certainly true. Yes, we are optimistic, of course, but there's just one thing. If I might make a slight criticism, I'm sure the communists won't mind. They know I'm a grumpy old man, so they will take it in the spirit that it's meant. But the word I heard very often repeated is excited. We are very excited. Well, I can understand that to a certain extent, only to a certain extent. I have to point out, however, that I myself am rarely excited by anything very much. I'm not get easily excited. And therefore, that's the other side of the coin. I very rarely get depressed also. I very rarely get disappointed by failures, because failures and disappointments are inevitable. Why do I say this? Well, look, you see, excitement. Yeah, you get excitement in a football match, so they tell me. Not that I've got any personal experience, because, as you know, I'm not an admirer of the beautiful game. But anyway, that's my loss, I suppose. Yeah, you get excited at a football match, at a game. Yeah, but this is not a game, my friends. You see, this is not a game. We're not in a game here. We're in a war. That's what we're in. And it's a serious matter. It's a very serious matter. People are being killed in this war. You know that? And let me say something to you. Not only speak for as one comrade to another. If you are thinking about joining the IMT, you've not just joined, I appeal to you, please join us. But when you join us, be sure that you know what you're joining. This is a serious revolutionary outfit. And we're not engaged in a game. We're engaged in a war, which is a serious matter. And this requires something. For example, to pursue the military analogy, if I'm advancing across a battlefield under enemy fire, I don't want the persons to be surrounding me to be excited. If they're too excited, they're likely to drop their guns and run. No. What I require is people who surround me with an attitude of iron, steely determination to advance, to overcome all obstacles, and to go from point A to point B. That's the attitude which we require here. Nothing else but that. And therefore, that's what we require. We require iron discipline. Yes, this is a revolutionary army. We require a disciplined attitude towards, a serious attitude to, and we require, yes, sacrifices, big sacrifices. That's what we offer you. Join us. We aren't offering you any medals or any prizes. We are offering you big sacrifices. That's all. And the road ahead of us, my friends, will be long and difficult. perhaps even dangerous at a certain stage. Long and difficult, yeah. And there will be many problems and many setbacks. I must insist upon this. Do not think there's no royal road to socialism, you know. This will be a damned hard struggle, and therefore we require fighters here. Fighters and revolutionaries that are prepared to make sacrifices and see the battle through to the end. You know, it's, you know, as I've said earlier, many people, when they look at the world, they see nothing but horrors and terrible things, and that's true. That's true. Capitalism in its phase of senile decay is full of horrors and is a threat to the existence of civilization, actually, even to the existence of the human race. That's why I say that this struggle, it's a serious struggle, and we require a serious attitude. Yeah, but you see, we're not dismayed by this. We don't draw pessimistic conclusions from this, because that's only one side of the picture. The other side of the picture is that in all this agony and suffering and so on, a new world is struggling to be born. It's been said and I repeat it. And our task is what? Our task is to strive might and main, to ensure that this birth of a new order, of a new world takes place as quickly as possible and as painfully possible, as painless as possible, with the least possible suffering and losses, and so on and so forth. So while other people are plunged in pessimism, well, we can't share that thing. It's no coincidence, by the way, that all the sects I mentioned, they're all in crisis and splitting and falling to bits. And they pay the price for their lack of principles and their lack of strict adherence to Marxist theory. And there you are. Well, we wish them goodbye as they sail over the horizon. We wave them goodbye and have a pleasant journey to oblivion at the bottom of the sea at the earliest possible occasion. As for us, we are confident. Oh, yes. This school gives us every right to be supremely confident. And we are confident because the ideas expressed here, the marvelous ideas of scientific socialism, the ideas of Marx, Engels, Lenin, Trotsky, yes, and of our founder, Ted Grant, who contributed, the only one that contributed really to the development, provides a cast iron guarantee insofar as there can be a guarantee for the success, the final success of the working class. We're confident in our ideas, yes. And we are confident in our class, the working class. Let's be clear about it. The only revolutionary class in society, the only class that can change society as it needs to be changed. And why not? Confidence in ourselves, because ultimately it will depend on us. The Marxists are the only ones that can provide a way out. And therefore, let every comrade at present at this school, every person, I appeal to you, if you're already a member of this organization, comrade, I ask you to step up the work. Redouble your effort. We have a target in front of us to get 600 members by the end of the year. I'm sure it's possible. And to get 1,000 members in the next few months following this. This is entirely possible. Sell more papers, make more contacts, raise more money. We just raised an impressive amount here, but we need more. And build the organization, so that when we meet again in 12 months hence, hopefully, and in better conditions and face-to-face, not online anymore, but in any case, however we meet, we will meet again for the next winter school 12 months hence in 2021. Let the whole world see that we have won that battle, that the IMT means business, that we intend to do what we promised to do. We have our targets, we intend to reach them. But that depends, it will not be done without the active participation of every single one of you. It's up to you, comrades. I appeal to you, I look for you personally, at every person here. If you haven't joined us, well, please do so. Please do so. You'll be very welcome in our ranks. And if you're already a member, we'll step up the work, comrades. Build the forces of Marxism forward, comrades, forward to the first 1,000 members. Long live the IMT, long live the cause of world socialism.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alan, for that. So hopefully we're all feeling suitably inspired. I will just remind the comrades to stick around if you would like to find out a bit more about joining the IMT. But before you go, we have a very special short video that has been prepared by our comrades. So I will share the screen now, and hopefully you'll be able to watch that.
Yes. Come and bring a chair. But far from being pessimistic about the present situation, far from being gloomy and downcast, on the contrary, we're completely optimistic about the future. And we understand also that the tide is beginning already to turn in our favor. So therefore I say, long live the international Marxist tendency. Workers of the world unite.